Yo, can you hear me? You listening to
WAW. What a week.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Wow, What a Week. Today, we say hear ye, ladies, gentlemen, actors, dreamers, soapy lovers, and the people who still practice their Oscar speeches in the mirror. Our guest today needs no introduction, but we're giving him one anyway. Actor, scene stealer, and the man who could probably cry on cue if we asked him nicely. He's coming up next. You know I'm all about smart moves, but this one got my attention. ABSA's latest innovative and fun way to save for any goal is called Savings Coach. Set your goal, automate your savings contribution from a business move to a new bike, whatever you're dreaming up, and it helps you get there step by step. You stay in control, but it keeps you focused. It's not just another savings tool. It's like having a plan, but that plan vibes with you. All on the ABSA banking app. Try it out and start stacking wins. ABSA Savings Coach. ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This is Wow! What a week. What a week. Celebrity guest.
Our guest is in the building. Chances are, if you love all things talent, stage, TV, movies, you know him. You might have seen him on Skim Sam, Soft Life, Spiwo, Gomorrah, The Estate, Housekeepers, The Republic, Vuta, Istembiso, Diamond City, Ring of Lies, and I could ring up even more, but I'm not because we're stealing his time. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for actor, thespian, and coach, Lebohang Motaung. Lebsa.
Fresh.
Do you ever look at your show reel and think, okay, how do we shorten this?
Yes. You know, I get, sometimes people say, can you send us a short bio?
Yes.
Short version of your bio.
Exactly.
It's always a challenge.
If your show reel
Yeah.
depended on only 5 performances, stage or TV or movie, what are the 5 performances in that show reel?
Sure. That's interesting. You mentioned Diamond City. I think Diamond City would be one of those.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed playing the detective on Diamond City.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, Soft Life was also one of the books.
Yes.
Interestingly, I have these seasons in my career where if I'm playing detective on one thing, the next one will be a detective as well, and
Sure.
the next one. So the detective season was really, really cool. In terms of, that's 2, right?
Yes.
In terms of stage, the most recent work that I've done is in The Suit.
Yeah.
Playing various characters in Ken Temba's The Suit.
Yes, sir.
Last year, it actually coincided with his centenary year, and he would have been 100 last year. So
yeah.
it was really a special one. KKK, not that KKK.
Yeah.
Congolose Commanding Commissars, which
yes.
played here at the market.
At the market,
that
yes,
was also one for the books for sure. Another one would actually be a role I played on Mzansi Bioscope.
Yes.
It was called, I'm forgetting the name now, but it was a very, very interesting sort of film noir type of genre where we were performing on stage, but it's a film.
Yes.
So we were in a theater. It's based on a playwright who's actually trying to find out who killed his lover.
Yes, sir.
And we played these scenes, these vignette scenes with some amazing actors. And I had an aha moment on that set where I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be.
I was going to say, what does an aha moment look like for someone like you?
I think an aha moment is a standing ovation. It's when the audience is moved to tears. It's that moment when people are laughing, even when you don't expect it.
Yes.
When you're walking in the street and people are like Hey, man, keep on doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess a whole lot of aha moments have actually been happening in my career. And I feel really privileged, man. Yeah, to be doing what I'm doing.
There are days where there is no applause,
Yeah.
or there's no gig,
Yeah.
or there's no busy WhatsApps coming in.
Yeah.
How do you fill that void when it happens?
I try to write.
Yeah.
That's the time that I take to read as well. Because, to be an actor, you need to be able to step into various different types of shoes, different types of personalities.
Yeah.
And the more learned you are about the world, the better.
Yes.
So that's the time to be reading, to get more skilled with other things like producing, learning how to direct, learning how the camera works.
Yes.
You can't always just be in front of the camera and you don't know how those kind of things work. There was a time in my life and in my career where I used to say, I just want to be an actor.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything else. But, our industry has taught me very differently.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you don't dabble in other things.
And I think hunger aside, you have a better appreciation of what everyone else brings to the table
Absolutely.
when you've walked in their shoes, literally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have so much respect for crew, so much respect for people that do lighting, cameras, sound, because without any of that, we are nowhere. As
Absolutely.
actors, you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And of course, the audience.
Yeah.
This is exactly who we do this for.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, we normally start with an icebreaker. So I jumped straight in, but we're going to go to our icebreaker.
Okay.
Our icebreaker is 10 questions, rapid fire.
Cool.
There's no right or wrong answer.
All right.
But yeah. Stage or screen?
Stage.
I've seen your work. I agree with you. You kick so much ass on stage. I'm not saying you suck
On screen.
on screen, but you kick so much ass on stage.
Thank you.
Watching TV or theater?
Theater.
Your first ever acting gig, do you remember it? What is your fondest memory of your first ever acting gig?
I was in second year at varsity.
Yeah.
And I played a pathologist in a series called Zero Tolerance.
Yes, sir.
I played against Mushidi Mutsefa, one of the best.
Oh, Moshidi is like legendary, yes, sir.
Absolutely legendary. I was so privileged to be playing against her while I was still studying.
Yes.
I remember Tony Khoroche was in it. Mishak Mavuso was in it.
Plus this second year kid.
You know
with
what I mean?
stars in his eyes.
This little upstart, you know what I mean? So I'll never forget that one. That was my first paying gig on television.
One type of character you'd love to play but haven't yet?
I would love to play a president, like the president of a country.
This country or a fictional country?
This country or fictional,
Okay.
either one.
Your guilty pleasure TV show. Like, I don't want to think right now, and I don't want people to know I watch this, but I watch this.
Oh, no. Guilty pleasure television show Umkhokha.
Sure.
Yeah.
What is it about? Where do you catch it?
It's on Mzansi Magic. I think they're done shooting now. I don't know how many. I think they had 2 or 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It's in the world of this crazy cult
Okay.
or religion, as people call it. But it's just one of those TV shows where it really grips you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about a curse.
Yeah.
Of all things. And I don't know. I every time, even when I watch it, I'm like, why are you watching this thing? But I just can't stop. You know what I mean? That's my.
There are shows like that. An actor you drop everything to work with.
Lawrence Fishburne.
But also you guys almost look alike. Ish.
That's part of the reason.
I was going to say, you just want to work with your lookalike or our twin. Our twins are.
Yeah, like younger brother or something,
Directing or acting, which stresses you out less?
Which acting, definitely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Because you're responsible for you and no one else.
Absolutely. I'm scared of directing. That's a lot of responsibility, man.
Favorite South African expression or slang to say into the camera?
Yo. Yeah. Yo.
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 If you weren't in the arts, where would you be right now on this very day?
I would probably be, if I wasn't in the arts, I would be out in nature, maybe like being a game ranger or something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, looking after animals and being in the wild.
Many would argue you're in the wild already in this industry.
It's a wildlife out here, right? It's a different kind of wildlife.
The one story or script that made you cry, either performing it or even just reading it.
Oh man, I'll never forget this moment, and I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
We were doing a play that was then called What a Wonderful World,
Yes.
written by Paul Grootboom.
Sure.
And we were playing it for Culture Club at Wits. I was playing Sammy. It was a scene where my character had actually cheated with his best friend's woman.
Oh, wow.
And in the scene, the reckoning is happening, and I just didn't see it coming. The tears came. The tears came even more right after the scene backstage. So, yeah, man, What a Wonderful World by Paul Grootboom.
Did you figure out why you were so triggered by that scene?
I didn't really go into why I was triggered so much. I think it was just being lost in the world of the story.
Yes.
Because Paul Grootboom's stories are very provocative.
Sure.
They kind of pull at you, but sometimes without you even realizing, especially in the process of rehearsal. So in the performance itself, I think what really brought me to tears, part of it was I was playing against Mutusi Magano.
Okay.
He was playing the lead in the scene. And I think a big part of it was just what he brought into the scene.
Oh, yeah.
What he brought to his character.
So he brought the
protagonist.
betrayal to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In such a way that I just wasn't expecting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and then many an actor say, often I need someone who can give so I can give back.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
It's a
why,
give and take.
Otherwise, why are we here?
It's a give and take. I'm one of those actors where even though the camera's on you, I'm still giving.
I'm there.
You know what I mean? I that's what I would like to get as well, to receive from others.
Can we talk about the importance of don't wait for the next line so that you can say your line, but be in the moment of the scene?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you can even see that this person was just waiting for the line.
Absolutely. And you don't believe it.
Even in scenes where someone interrupts someone, you can tell that they are anticipating the interruption, the cue, versus I'm in it, dog.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens.
Absolutely. I teach screen acting.
Yes.
And I always tell my students, acting is reacting.
Sure.
So I always ask them the question, is acting lying? And the answer is no for me.
Yeah.
The answer is that acting is responding truthfully to imagined situations.
Yes.
In order to do that, you have to listen. So the most important skill as an actor is to listen.
Yes.
You cannot respond truthfully if you're not listening.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes the other actor might give you a different line to what you're expecting. So then you have to react and respond truthfully.
Yeah.
But if you're not listening, then you're just going to say your cue.
Yeah.
And then it won't make sense,
So I did a lot of drama in high school.
Okay.
And the one thing I appreciated about it is, one, because I could memorize lines, studying became a bit easier.
Okay, yes, it does help.
Because whether you want to or not, eventually you end up knowing every single person's lines.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you're part of the story, and it helps that you know everything.
It does.
But you also do industrial theatre.
Yes.
For those that don't know, what is industrial theatre?
So industrial theatre usually is a much shorter time to rehearse, but any kind of company can come to you with a brief, or we go to the company and find out what it is that they want to deal with. Sometimes they want to do internal communications. Sometimes they want to launch a new product.
Or a mine wants to conscientize miners about whatever issue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could be health related.
Yeah.
It could be financial literacy. It could be anything. And you then create a script out of a scenario that might have happened at the company itself. Or maybe you imagine a scenario of what they would like to achieve.
Sure.
And that then becomes your script. You get your actors together. You put together a skit or a scene, a couple of scenes. And you perform it on the day. And we like to do it in very innovative ways. We have this thing that we call disruptive theatre, where if people are maybe like watching a PowerPoint presentation or listening to the mine manager speaking, or whatever the case might be, we'll plant actors in the audience. And without any expectation, this performance will erupt in a real life situation.
That is so dope.
And people only realize it's a performance at the end of it.
And they were in it.
And they were in it. And they have real responses to it. And at the end of the day, whatever teaching points needed to be done are done in such a truthful way that people didn't know it was a performance.
I'll tell you what I'm asking. So like I said, I did a lot of drama in high school.
Yeah.
And in my matric year, I remember our drama teacher, Warren Neebe, saying to me, listen, we're doing Godspell. Do you know Warren?
I know Warren. I know Warren very well.
You are lying.
I know him very well.
Warren is probably the one teacher that single-handedly helped me deal with my social anxiety.
Oh, wow.
I found my voice, and all of that happened on stage thanks to Warren Neebe.
Warren is amazing.
I tell him all the time that, dude, you changed my life at a time I didn't even know I needed a savior.
Incredible.
My mom was living in the U.S. studying. Me and my dad's relationship was very strained.
Yeah.
And my one salvation was I'm at boarding school, but also the stage.
Right.
So Warren says to me, we're doing Godspell.
Yeah.
So I can give you a meaty role in Godspell.
Yeah.
Or you can have a bit part in Godspell and be part of my theater and education project.
Right.
Where we're going to do something that we want to take to primary schools and conscientize kids about stuff. And we were talking about child abuse at the time.
Yeah.
And he said, but I know your heart. You're going to want to do the theater and education.
Right.
And I did that. Yes. And in my 5 years of theater in high school, that's the one bit of theater that still lives in my heart right now.
Right.
Because I saw how it touched those kids.
Absolutely.
With kids in tears. And a part of me was like, why don't you have social workers here? This was a bit wild of us to just come to a school and something that can trigger kids.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking you this question, what gives you the most fulfillment? Is it the industrial theater where you're touching lives in real time? Is it you on stage with a real audience? Or is it you in front of the camera? What fulfills you?
I think what fulfills me is how any one of those platforms actually touches lives, because they touch people's lives in different ways.
Sure.
You know, sometimes we because with screen, your relationship is with the camera. You never really get feedback immediately. With theater, you get feedback as soon as you jump off the stage.
Yes.
So it's always the feedback from people that really gives me fulfillment. But talking about Warren Neebe, he is the head of Drama for Life at WITS.
Yes.
So I'm part of the founding members of the Drama for Life Playback Theatre. Now, playback theatre is a very interesting, innovative form of theatre where it's improv.
Yes.
We don't have a script.
Yes.
We come in front of an audience and we say, could you please volunteer your own personal stories?
And we will
turn it into theatre on the spot.
That is dope.
So I've seen that really do magical things for people.
Yes.
Gives them a time to reflect on their own stories. So that gives me a lot of fulfillment as well.
Yeah.
When you speak to a person and you say, what was that like watching your own story?
Yes.
What?
And did we do it justice?
And did we do it
Because it's also a test.
Absolutely.
You're not only sharpening your skill.
Yeah.
You know,
it's about honoring people's stories.
Exactly.
So that gives me a lot of fulfillment.
So how do we get involved in that? I mean, where do I watch this? How do I...
get in touch with Warren Neebe.
But are these public shows? Does it only happen at WITS?
It happens mostly at WITS, but it happens in different communities as well. It's, again, one of those situations where you'll find that any kind of community, whether it be a school, a cultural club, whatever it may be, will need a time to reflect for whatever reason. And they will then approach, or Drama for Life might actually advertise, and people will say, we actually need something like playback theatre, a session for us to reflect.
Yes.
And then you would see it in that way. The other way would be to actually watch it at WITS, at University Corner. I think they have it once or twice a month.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the workshops that you do. Who can attend? Where do people get information?
So our workshops that we do are under Inside Story Network.
Okay. And
it's called the Inside Story Acting Program. At the moment, we are based at UJ.
Yeah.
And the way that you can get in touch with us is at insidestorynetwork@gmail.com. And then we will give you all the information. So you can either do screen acting or you can do stage acting.
And then how often are these workshops?
We host them every Saturday.
So literally every Saturday,
Every Saturday,
you're at UJ.
3 hours, we're at UJ, working with young people, aspiring artists and actors. It's really, really inspiring work. And every now and again, we do a masterclass where we invite anybody who's interested to come in and be part of, acting and understanding stagecraft and understanding what it is to really listen and respond. You know what I mean? To improv, that's really like the spice of life when it comes to an actor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you ever have situations where people that have been in the industry come back and say, because I didn't go and study what I do, help me sharpen my skill?
Absolutely.
Is that happening also?
It is happening. We've had one-on-ones with people who have already been in the industry. We've had one-on-ones with people who have said, look, I'm an actor. I've been playing the same role in a telenovela or in a soapy, and now I'm being challenged to go into a different character, and I need to shed that one and go into a new one.
Yeah.
We work with people like that. We've also worked with people who have said, I need help with confidence in standing in front of people and talking.
Yes.
We deal with that as well. So we do one-on-ones.
So you can help me, because my biggest fear is public speaking.
Really?
So maybe you guys can help me with that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Isn't that the wildest thing, though?
It is.
That's my biggest fear.
It is. They say that when a person has to do a speech at a funeral, they'd rather be the guy in the coffin
Absolutely.
than be the guy behind the mic.
People fear public speaking more than they fear death.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've got spiders on top of both, though.
Right?
Yeah. So I might die from seeing the spider, but I don't know if I'd be able to get out of the box and speak about myself.
You're just like my wife.
That sounds like a movie, though.
She can't see a spider. What, arachnophobia? So you wouldn't do those challenges where they say, look, let the spider walk on your hand and we'll give you R1 million.
We actually did that at 5FM. Catherine, who was my show producer, got a snake park to bring tarantulas and other snakes for me to cure that. So I literally had a tarantula walking up my arm.
Wow.
So
what was that like?
I was hoping it bites me and I can go. but it didn't. So, like, who doesn't need spidey senses?
I mean, come on, you know what I mean? Yeah.
So, umfana wa Davidton.
Yes, Vuta.
Growing up, eVuta.
Yeah.
Who are your influences when you look back at who you are now? Who would you say were some of your influences that were the building blocks of the man you've become?
Wow. Interestingly, I always hung around older people.
Yeah.
I mean, my first mentor is my own father, my biological father. My father taught me things like, and it's really simple stuff, like don't ever use a word if you don't know what it means.
Sure.
I started understanding the encyclopedia before I started going to school because of my father.
Yeah.
He put education above anything and everything. My second mentor, I remember growing up in Davidton and Limajita, we would be looking at our situation and thinking, life has got to be better than this.
Sure.
And we had all of these crazy ideas. I don't know how we ended up in Alex.
Yeah.
We took a trip to Alex and we met a man called Begingiti.
Sure.
Who was, he's a teacher through and through, and he started mentoring us, teaching us about Pan-Africanism, understanding who we are as Africans in the world, you know what I mean? And later on, he started talking about we got to do Bible study, and we were like, bro, Biggie, why? This book came with the colonialists.
Too cool for that.
And later on, we really realized just how much is in that book that can teach us about life. So I have a lot that I owe to those two people. And I always say I have three mentors. So my third mentor is a man I met when I went to California. So how I ended up in California was that we did a mentorship program while I was still at Wits.
Okay.
And Malcolm Perky at the time was like, go and check out this thing. They're looking for mentors. And we mentored young people from areas like Alex, like Davidton, meeting up with kids from Culver City, from different areas of LA, at UCLA. And I met a man who was Steve Biko's right-hand man.
Oh, wow.
And he says that when they left the country, he ended up at UCLA and became a lecturer there, but he went with a scholarship, right? And they remember arriving in the United States, watching South African news when Steve Biko was being arrested because he refused to go with them. He said to them, no, I need to have another meeting with these students. I need to speak to these students. And unfortunately, he had been arrested. So Tim Gubeni is the man that I met in California. And that man is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to South African history, when it comes to South African politics. So these are my three mentors. You know, these are, I call them my three fathers who really influenced how I think and who influenced me becoming the man I am today.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at, like you said, how you guys ended up in Alex and all of a sudden you're being conscientized.
Yeah.
What stops us, though, from doing that for young kids now, where we on a Saturday meet with a bunch of youngsters who have potential, perhaps, and conscientize them about everything else that they're not being taught at school? Because I almost feel like we're letting the kids down in almost leaving things to chance. We're not intentional anymore about what we're teaching the kids and how we're teaching them to be critical thinkers and not just to take in what is being taught, but to be fine with questioning it. To be fine with asking, but ma'am, but why left and not right?
Right. I don't know. I think somewhere between fear and maybe lack of vision. Interestingly, I was having a debate with one of my friends, and we were talking about just the state of South Africa is that in 1994, when we were given this so-called freedom, nobody sat down and said, let's actually have a meeting as South Africans and talk about our freedom.
Sure.
Let's talk about what direction we're going in. We've been directionless ever since.
It's almost been left to chance when everything was intentional before then.
Exactly. So there seems to be a lack of direction, a lack of vision. I mean, if you ask the youth of today what their struggle is, I don't know what their expression would be. Whereas back in the day, it was very clear.
The enemy was clear.
The enemy was very, very clear.
Yeah.
I think right now, the lines are kind of blurred. We don't really know what the enemy is. It's like when they say a slave can never be free until they know they're a slave.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing that we believe we have this freedom, but we know somewhere deep down, we know that we're not free. Freedom is not free. There's no such a thing as you being given a freedom. You know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of instilling principles of integrity with young people. How do you have programs of personality development? Because unfortunately, our personalities have been damaged by the system, and we don't have intentional plans to rectify it, to fix that, and we need that. We need that. And in my experience from being a young man up until now, I've found that the Bible has been one of the instruments that is very critical in developing a person's personality.
Yes, sir.
To infuse buwena into you again, so that every time you wake up in the morning, you understand that it's a reset. It's a new sort of, you got to have a zeal for life. You got to have that energy, that drive, something that says, I have a purpose. There's a reason why I exist. And therefore, I've got to live out my purpose. I've got to live to my fullest potential. We don't have a sense that we have this potential in us. And that's so important for you as a young person, to realize your potential, to realize why you exist. You know,
as someone that does industrial theater, that looks at these are the issues for this corporate, and we're going to tailor make, a dramatic representation of the problem and possibly the solution. What stops you guys from doing that with societal ills and having that live on social media, for argument's sake? Because I'm almost certain a kid who's your fan might hear you better if you talk about, I don't know, whether it's self-esteem or that you don't beat your girlfriend up. We don't beat people up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many things out there that I feel, because we know where the kids are, they're on TikTok, they're watching these 5-minute dramas.
Absolutely.
But are we doing enough intentionally to say, since that's where their attention is, how do we sneak in there? And help change mindsets and where people are right now? Because people need leadership, and I don't think people are led right now, especially kids.
True. That's very true.
Every child is up to their own shit.
Yeah.
If anything, they're influenced by their favorite DJ or their favorite dancer or star. But no one is saying, Ish, Lebohang did this sketch about what a young man ought to be behaving like.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm going to pick something up from it.
Yeah, I think
not to put you under pressure, but
but you are, and I think it's good pressure.
Yeah,
you're definitely onto something there, and a big shout out to my wife Koketso, a lady who's actually been pushing and saying we've got to be on TikTok, we've got to get onto TikTok. That's where our audience is, and I think that there's a lot that can be done with the kind of content we have on there.
Sure,
you know, I think I read it somewhere, or somebody said to me that Chinese TikTok is very different to South African TikTok. We're concerned about the most trending dance. Chinese kids are about building AI robots and fixing electronics and science. They put that kind of stuff on TikTok. We need that kind of inspiration to say, what if we use TikTok in order to conscientize our friends and our families about what's going on in our communities. As we speak, I'm actually writing a play. And this play, I'm calling it Thrive, because it speaks about South Africa as a 30-year-old.
Ah, yes.
It's this young person who has come into a world where everything is on social media now. And the play is targeted at young people who have a short concentration span.
Yes.
10-second TikTok videos, short little clips, So it's about how do we get this generation of people to be thinkers and come into a theater and consume a piece of theater, a storytelling that actually attracts them. You know what I mean? So in it, we have characters who kind of have an interaction between themselves, but also with social media and what it means to have no likes.
Ah, yes.
How does it feel to have nobody comment on your videos? Or how does it feel when you have trolls telling you,
you ain't shit.
Yeah, exactly. You dance like a monkey, or you or even Karens telling you things that are racist. You know what I mean? So it's grappling with those kind of things. And TikTok is a big source of reference for me for the play.
And not to dilute what you guys do on stage, but I'd almost have the audacity to say, whatever you guys are doing on stage must also be bite-sizable for social media. Because that is where the larger audience is. So, if you can find a hybrid between theater lovers will appreciate it.
Yes.
But we can still bite-size it for social media.
Absolutely. Because that's exactly what is the call for Thrive as well. You know what I mean? We, so my wife and I, last night, even now when I left, she's busy editing bite-sizable clips that we can put on TikTok that will then attract people to say, okay, let me go and actually check out this channel and see what it's about. And it's really about infusing it with so much content where a person can look at it and say, wow, that's me.
Yes.
This is talking about me. Absolutely. I know exactly what they're talking about.
It's so critical.
And it's absolutely critical for us to hold that mirror up to society and say, take time, reflect, think about things. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Because we can only watch young people be about just vibes for so long.
Exactly.
So how do we then walk into their worlds and talk to them and not at them? in a way that they can relate. I think we have a responsibility to do that.
We have a huge responsibility. We have a huge responsibility to stand in front of young people and say, when you look at the world today and when we look at the world today, we have to be very honest and say, we have not been the best fathers, leaders, presidents. You are the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah.
What would you like to see the world be?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You look at a country like Burkina Faso with a leader like General Traore, who is a young person who's saying enough is enough.
Yes, we're tired.
We're tired of not doing things for ourselves. You know what I mean? We need to infuse that in the youth here.
Sure.
We need to be able to stand in front of them and say, we have not done the best that we can, but we can partner with you in re-envisioning what the future could be. You know?
My heart smiled when I read this week that the 3 Sahel countries have started a bank.
Yes. I read about
to
that.
finance the projects and that infrastructure and SADC should have done that 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
There should have been a SADC bank 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
If not longer. When SADC started in the 80s, when did SADC start? 82, 83?
82, 83, yeah.
There should have been a SADC bank from then.
Exactly.
Instead, we're still begging for money.
Exactly.
And then being told how to spend the money.
Yeah.
And then being smacked on the hand, naughty African.
Yeah.
You natives, you.
Exactly. You know, so my mentor Begingiti once, we were talking about money and black people and their relationship to money. We don't have a relationship with money.
Yeah, because you don't have money. You can't have a relationship with a phantom man or a phantom woman.
Yeah, but the thing is, Fresh, the reason why we don't have money is because we don't know it.
Yeah.
We don't know how to use it. He said something profound, and he said, if you want to understand money, you have to understand a balance sheet.
Ah,
You
yes.
have to know what a balance sheet is. What is the difference between expenses and income? And what are your liabilities?
Sure.
We don't think about things like that, you know. We don't read Kiyosaki. Those kind of books should be standard in our education system, you know what I mean? So these are the kind of things we really need to kind of rethink. And not only as teachers, but as parents, Bomalome, the uncles, and everybody, you know.
This is a conversation we had with Botsang on Politrix like a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
About reimagining what a 17, 18-year-old knows when they leave high school.
Yeah.
Do they have a driver's license? That should be standard.
Yeah.
Because 99% of jobs require a driver's license.
Yeah.
Imagine if you leave high school with a driver's license.
Yeah.
Being able to do your taxes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Being able to balance a sheet.
You have to. And this starts from we don't have to wait till high school or varsity.
Yeah.
It starts right at the
Incremental.
first years.
Yeah.
We were talking about a school like Trinity House the other day with a couple of friends of mine. Kids at Trinity House from grade 1 are learning how to do coding. They're learning how to make circuit boards.
Yeah.
They're learning how machines work. They can build a robot
Yeah.
from that young age. You know what I mean? That's how we should be thinking in terms of what education can do to a child. We don't have to wait. You know, we say children are the future. But what are they doing while they're the present?
Exactly.
In the present, they are who they're meant to be.
And
our education system should start with, who are you, not what are you going to be?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And sadly, what their future looks like is directly proportional to what their present is.
Absolutely.
But we almost are in denial about that.
We're in denial. We want to skip it. We want to imagine a future. We want to project a future.
There's someone said that, especially about education on the continent, that an electorate that is awake to themselves is of no use to any political party. That is why you don't have philosophy, critical thinking, and other stuff taught in schools.
Yeah.
Because why would you want people that can criticize you or can think for themselves? Is what this person was arguing.
Yeah. Yeah, because that person understands what the point of education is in the first place. Unfortunately, the point of education is to build people who are vocation.
Yeah.
It's for vocation. It's so that when you leave school, you have to go find a job. Whereas our education should be set up in such a way that when you leave school, you know exactly what you want to do and how to do it, when to do it.
And you can even start doing it by yourself without going to varsity. Because you've learned those skills along the way.
Education is not just in the book, you know. life has so much to teach.
Yeah.
And you just have to learn what is the best way for you to learn, that you know how you take in information. That's what education should be.
Sure.
Not that I must, when I leave school, go and find a job and try and live happily ever after. Within that system of education, I don't know what it is to be a husband, what it is to be a wife, but that's what I'm gonna be for the rest of my life, supposedly.
Imagine, but none of it is...
There's no teaching about it.
Dude, relationships are just winging it. Parenting is just winging it.
Exactly.
The two things that will shape someone else's life for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
We're just winging it.
There's no school for it.
But you need a license to operate other things.
Exactly. Exactly. We are just winging it through life.
It's like, no, it's fine. You can have 20 children. Go have your 20 children and raise them how you want.
Yeah, it's almost like you know?
Oh, you want to drive a car? No, but you must go through these stages and learn this thing and master this thing.
Yeah. But how to raise a boy, how to raise a little girl,
Must wing it.
or
Depend, or you must depend on how you were raised. And often it was that was flawed too.
That was flawed too. So now you must also repeat the flaws or learn from them. But it's entirely up to you.
Life is a flaw almost right now.
Yeah, but the thing about it is we don't know where to learn the principles. You know, we don't understand that we are who we are in this world because of a super intelligent creator who had a plan why he created us. And if we go back to him and say, look, factory fault, can I go back to the designer of this and say, how do I fix?
Sure.
How do I go back? How do I understand what it is I was created to be in the first place? Then you can't go wrong because that is the original designer.
My challenge right now to departments of education across our continent is have the balls to reimagine what your education system looks like.
Absolutely.
Because majority are very Eurocentric. Majority are just churning out people that are going to be 9-to-5ers.
Yeah.
They can't even do shit for themselves, let alone their own families.
Yeah.
And they just become dependent on the state.
Yes. Remember we talked a little bit earlier about how our mind is damaged, right? And this same mind is expected to be the one that designs institutions that are supposed to be beneficial to us, right? And the instrument, the mind, in its state, cannot fix what it needs to fix.
Yeah.
It's like when you have a saw, and it has a lot of residue of wood, and you're trying to cut down a piece of wood.
Obviously, it's not going to cut.
It's not going to cut.
Yeah.
So the instrument itself needs to be put back in a state where it is sharp, where it is efficient in order to do what it needs to do. It is the mind that creates institutions that benefit human beings.
So at a practical level, how would you suggest we do that?
How, in whatever form it comes, maybe even through the arts.
Sure.
Because I remember that if I could sing my 2 times tables, I would never forget them.
Yes.
We need to infuse the arts back into education, not only in arts class, so to speak, or when we go to choir. We need to see how the arts can open up the mind to being educated in whatever subject.
Yeah.
And we need to implement a plan for personality development within our education system.
Yes, sir.
We talk every day about how African people were once kings and queens when Europe was still living in caves.
Yeah.
African people had the original universities. African people came up with science, chemistry, religion, maths. So we need to reinfuse this back into the black child in 2025 to understand who he is, where he comes from, and not have this downcast look always, you know what I mean? Right now, I'm rehearsing Master Harold and the Boys with Silo Makekangube. So Prasilo is playing Sam.
In fact, you're dashing to studio from here.
I'm dashing to rehearsal from here, yeah. So the reason why I'm latching onto that is that there's a scene in Master Harold and the Boys where Sam looks at the young Harold and he says, so basically Harold is asking him, why did you make a kite for me when I was younger? And he says to him, because I wanted you to stop looking down. I wanted you to look up. Because at that moment when the kite was flying, Harold was inspired to look up, because Sam is saying to him that I understand that this is not how a young boy grows to be a man, by looking down. So we need to reinfuse this sense of looking up, the sense of I am a human being who deserves to be where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a space under the sun.
Yes, sir.
And I have a purpose. And understand what that purpose is and live to the fullest potential.
We all deserve that.
Absolutely. We all do. We all do. And if we have that infused in us from a young age, aren't we going to be better people?
Absolutely.
Are we not going to be better fathers in the future? Are we not going to be better leaders and presidents? So it's of crucial importance that we have that within the education system.
Sure. How did you meet Koketso?
Oh, wow. What a curveball question.
Yeah.
So
I don't do segues.
Here I'm thinking half. She's letting me easy.
No, we're not done.
Okay. So I met Koketso on. The first time I saw her, we were actually at an audition of Mzansi movie that we both got the role.
Yeah.
But I just saw this beautiful girl and it wasn't just about looks. She's got the looks, for sure. But there was just something about her. I think young people call it demure.
Ah, yes.
I think she's a definition of demure, but also just like she's got this princess energy about her, you know. She wasn't the only girl in the room, but at that moment when I saw her, she was the only girl in the room for me.
So na le seriti mar haras.
Yeah, exactly. Harase hapapi.
Exactly.
But she just exudes this kind of royal princess energy about her, you know. I remember. Yeah, exactly. And I remember when we were starting our relationship, she said to me, you know, I need a man who knows how to roll the carpet out for me.
Sure.
Like that, you know, like with that spunk and attitude. I was like, damn, who is this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we ended up on the same set of this production, and this closeness just started growing and growing and growing.
What kind of conversations were you guys having in the beginning?
Interestingly,
that you realized that, oh, okay.
Interestingly, when we talk about that, she says she was attracted to my mind.
Sure.
So we were having very high intellectual conversations.
Those are so dope.
Nah.
It's so nice to have conversations with someone that you don't have to worry about explaining things.
Exactly.
Over-explaining.
Exactly. And we just got each other on an intellectual level in our conversation. And I think that's what really sparked the relationship.
And it was sexy, but
exactly.
In the bigger scheme of things.
Yes.
Because you know you'll never be bored.
Absolutely. That, her mind, coupled with her walk, it just got me.
Hey, walk on something there.
Boso! You know, there's a Zulu expression.
Yeah.
Unyathela ngabantwana.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, and I tell her, and she's like, I don't understand what you mean. I'm like, you won't.
They'll never understand.
You won't get it. But yeah.
They'll never understand.
That's what sealed it for me.
And because we're such simple creatures, we'll even ask them, so do you practice that walk?
Or does it come naturally to you? Like, yeah, no. It's just one of those unforgettable.
The weird thing about guys and walks is it goes all the way back to high school.
Right.
They'd be the girl that all of us like because of her walk.
Absolutely. And sometimes you look at her and you're thinking, okay, I'm mokwala.
Yeah.
Kapriki, I'm lata.
Sure.
But then if you hesitate, you're going to notice the walk.
Yes.
And if she has that confidence, sometimes just because of that confidence, and you're like,
Yeah.
I better know my story.
Yeah. She knows her walk. I don't know mine.
Yeah, she's got the walk down. I'm going to be tripping over my shoelaces. I must come correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
When was the moment you decided, I want to spend the rest of my life with this woman? Do you remember that point?
I do. I remember the exact point. I tell her and she says she doesn't remember.
Yeah, they never do.
I think we had spent half a day together.
Yeah.
I was just killing it on the points, you know. I cooked for her. I remember making a cheesecake for her.
From scratch?
Yeah,
You
from
are
scratch.
blind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and not that cheesecake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like get that out your mind already.
Yeah.
Yeah, real cheesecake, you
Yeah.
know. And I just looked at her and I said, you know, oh, she noticed something that was lacking in my space because she had been in my space. Kushota something, you know, like I don't know if it was a curtain or something.
But she was paying attention.
She was paying attention to my environment.
This is so important.
Yeah. And she said, well, how Kenya right? And I was like, you see, I need you in my life.
Sure.
And she looked back.
So that was the first non-proposal proposal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she just looked at me and she said, you got me.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And that, as they say.
If you had a tail, it would have been like this. Sure.
No, I really felt like a victor at that time. I was like, wow, I can't believe it.
You guys work together on her podcast. So
Yes.
you're like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You bring years of experience. In fact,
Yeah.
with the years of experience that you bring, her podcast probably has the longest period of experience when it comes to stuff.
True. And I mean, you know, we were talking about how we were podcasting before people were podcasting.
I know.
We were online with shows like On Set,
Yeah.
speaking to actors in our industry, talking about how it is that people bring this magic onto the screen.
Yes.
And we were saying that, the time that we took the foot off the pedal
Yeah.
was a crucial time that we should have kept up with it.
Exactly.
You know? But when we look back at it, it's the thing that keeps inspiring us to say, you know what,
Yes.
we got to keep at this.
Now we know better.
Now we know better, and we know we're looking at the tricks of the trade as well, and seeing the steady growth. It's really just satisfying to see, you know.
Working with your wife,
Yeah.
how do you guys navigate when but we must work?
Wow, that has come through experience. We've been through the fire, so to speak, where we've actually produced a web series together, and in those times when it was absolutely crucial for us to be on the same level, be on the same page, be understanding exactly what we need to do, would be the same time that we would have a fight.
Yeah.
So I would say we fight hard,
Yeah.
we play hard,
Sure.
we work hard, and through the years of experience,
and they make up hard.
oh yes, oh no doubt, no doubt about it. So the working hard, playing hard, making up hard,
Yeah.
through the years, the experience has actually like boded us well, because we kind of have a rhythm now.
Sure.
We understand, and I've gotten to the point now where with some things I don't need to be asked, I don't need to be told. I know exactly what needs to be done next. I'm still learning. It's always a learning process.
Sure.
And I think the same with her as well. You know, she's such a focused, diligent worker that I'm learning a lot from her as well.
Is there merit in a relationship in mastering knowing time and place?
Absolutely. You got to know when to put the work down.
Yeah.
You got to know when to put the phone down.
Yeah.
You got to know when to not answer the WhatsApp call or the message that comes in. Because...
Or to make a snide comment.
Exactly. You know? And you know how women are. Don't compliment another woman in front of your wife.
Yeah.
You know, it's the little things like that you learn as time goes.
Oh, so you didn't know before?
Oh, man. Oh, my brother. I've had to learn the hard way, okay? Hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
You see, if they taught this in school, he wouldn't.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, teachers, come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you learn it. You learn it as time goes.
You worked on slave market
Yes.
in Egypt.
Oh, what an experience.
Working in a different country
Yeah.
versus working at home. What were the nuanced differences, either in work culture or any other way?
Yeah. Yeah, Egypt Cairo, Egypt was such a shock,
Yeah.
in a good and bad way.
Sure.
The Arab countries, because that was done under MBC, which is the Middle East Broadcasting Corporation. They don't see anything wrong with working around the clock.
Oh, yes. Yes. There's no union.
24.
There's no union PS.
There's none of that. No. There's nobody that's going to say, no, guys, it's lunch now. We have to, no.
That is spanning.
Yeah, Raspani.
Yeah.
But we had to put our foot down. And on this particular production, we were also working with young people.
Yes.
Kids, who in our country, we know the laws. After 4 hours, they need to rest.
Yes.
If they've done 8 hours for the day, that's it for the day for them. You keep going.
Sure.
So that was a shock, for one. What this particular project did was it brought quite a lot of African values into the story,
Sure.
which the producers, the directors relied heavily on us, the South African actors, to bring into the story. So that made me feel very important. It made me feel almost like I'm a consultant on this thing.
I was going to say they trust what you bring with you.
They did, to such a point where I was actually coaching accents.
Oh, wow.
We were also working, it was such a huge production. We were working with actors from Europe, from America. I remember working with French actors, and they had to master the African accent.
Yes.
And I became an African accent coach.
Can you go do that in Hollywood now? Because even I don't know where they get that accent from in Hollywood. That they think it's an African accent, but it's not.
Yeah, I'm thankful for Slave Market because I have that in the bag now.
Yes.
It's something that I have in my skill set.
Sure.
That I can say I'm an African accent coach.
Yes.
That I can work with international actors who are tasked with telling a story about Africa.
Yes, sir.
In that way. So it was quite a learning curve. I mean, it was a privilege to be working with so many different artists. The artists on set are really, really wonderful people who have within their craft, they are open, they are giving. So, and I've made some friends that we are still friends even today.
That's amazing.
So that was really great. The connections we made will last for the rest of our life.
What could we learn here from how things happened in Egypt on set?
To not, I almost want to say, skimp out on budget.
Ah, yes.
I think a large part of the budget for Slave Market came from a Saudi Arabian cohort, so they've got the oil money.
Yes, yes.
But here, we could learn to think big.
Ah, yes.
The scale of the production of Slave Market was incredible.
So reimagine our own productions almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And really let our imaginations go, you know what I mean? Sometimes we think too much about budget constraints, but there are ways around doing things. But if we all share a vision of what the magnitude of the story we want to tell.
So come in grand.
And
work at how do we get there.
Don't
come in at the budget you have in your head.
Yeah, don't start with, but we can't do that. Don't start with can't. Go to how can we?
Sure.
How can we reach that?
And
then you'll see our stories will be absolutely amazing. Because the stories we have on paper, the scripts that we have collecting dust are
Dubai.
A dream.
Yeah. We're almost out of time. In fact, we are out of time because we have to let you go.
Yeah.
So we're going to play one last game. It's called Life According to Lebo.
Okay.
No wrong answers, just vibes.
All right.
And the wilder your imagination, the better.
Okay.
Yes, it's only 15 questions.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. If your worst audition was turned into a blockbuster comedy, what would the movie be called?
It would be called OTT, Over the Top.
What happened? Did you walk in there like you're on stage?
Yeah, exactly. And they made me feel it, eh? The funny thing about it is it was for East Team. I think it was my only East Team audition, and it was one of the first auditions I did for TV, being a theater trained actor. Yeah. And I went out there.
You give them theater.
You know what they did?
Yeah.
They give you the mic, the lapel mic, and then they sit far from you. They sit up. I don't know why they did that. Sure. Because for me,
you're acting to them.
Exactly.
Not into camera.
And they're like, okay, thank you very much. Don't call us, we'll call you type vibe. You know what I mean? And that was the end of it.
You're playing a soapy villain, but you can only speak in animal noises. Which animal are you choosing?
A villain with only animal noises.
Yeah.
I think a hyena.
Yeah. So lachen the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time. The whole time. I played a villain in KKK, and one of my references was a hyena.
Jeez, okay.
Yeah, because I played around with the laughter because the character was just so ruthless in his execution of things, but he absolutely enjoyed himself doing it. Yeah. So he enjoyed the laughter.
He was like a hyena.
He was a proper hyena.
Yeah. I'm gonna eat you while you run wounded.
While I laugh at
and
you.
laugh about it.
Yeah, exactly.
What direction you've ever gotten from a director, but you went and did it anyway?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Recently on something that hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
I was playing being shot.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was the way in which I was receiving the bullet.
Okay.
That was like, is that how it happens? And I was like, but then I was like, you know what? I trust you.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway. And apparently it looked amazing on screen. I don't like to watch to kind of watch the take afterwards.
Yeah, you must wait for the movie.
Yeah. But they told me it read very well. Because when I was thinking about doing it, I was like, there's no way this is going to look good on screen.
Sure.
But I was told it actually looked very beautiful.
All right, let's carry on playing Life According to Lebo. Mm-hmm. Aliens land and say, act your way out of this. Which scene that you played before are you performing to save the world? And do you remember the lines?
Whew. Wow, I gotta think about this one.
I mean, the world is depending on you. We're dying here.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I think it was a scene in Diamond City.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed the simplicity. It's a simple line that says, Luna.
Yeah. You know you're not winning an Oscar for that.
I know. But, yeah, my award is just enjoyment of that scene because, it just landed the way I wanted it to.
If your thoughts had Netflix-style subtitles, what's the weirdest thought we'd see first?
What's the weirdest thought?
We would see first in the subtitles. Remember, these are your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of thoughts do you have to yourself? It could be, I wonder if coffee reaches a giraffe's stomach still hot.
Yeah.
You know, what kind of shit do you think about to yourself?
Crazy. It's funny that it's evading me now, but I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Why if we're not meant to drink and drive, why do we have parking lots at the bar?
Maybe I'm going to have water there.
At the bar?
Maybe I'm staff.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
What's the one role you thought, I can't believe they're paying me to do this?
Good question. I think it was in Slave Market when I because I think that the accent coaching thing came so easy.
Oh yes,
for me, you know.
Yeah.
And I think what it was being paid in dollars.
Yeah.
Was like, wow.
Sure.
I'm being paid to do this, like this much to do this. Like, and I think it obviously it was of so much value to them.
Yes.
But I thought to myself, wow, I can't believe.
And this is something I could have done to them, like off camera.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I probably wouldn't have minded offering this work for free.
Yeah.
But I was being paid for it.
There was a fistful of dollars, so why not?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, no, okay, sure.
If you could swap lives with any South African celebrity for a week, just to cause chaos, who are you going with?
South African celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Dumam Jad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, I my life gets busy.
Yeah.
But Stum is busy, yo.
Sure.
I mean, I'm talking about it. It's hard to get him on the phone because
he's always on
9
set.
out of 10 he's on set.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Your acting career gets a theme song that plays every time you walk into a room. What is it?
The only song that's playing in my head now is a jingle that my wife and I created for the podcast.
Yeah.
And it just keeps playing in the back of my mind, and it goes, "Welcome to Inside Story, Inside Story, Inside Story with me."
So it's going to play in every room you walk into.
Yeah. Yeah, because that, I mean,
That sounds,
occupies my life.
yeah. And that's what you've become,
Yeah,
that guy.
exactly. About the inside story.
There's now an awards show for most dramatic real-life overreaction. What moment in your life wins the trophy?
Overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta think about this one.
That's why I'm here. I asked the hard question.
I
You
know.
must do all the thinking.
Overreaction. I think I almost kind of want to go back to that sitting audition again. Because, I was OTT there.
Actile.
I know that. And I get active now. If there were awards for being OTT, I think I would have killed it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you completely forgot your lines on stage and had to improv a whole new story, what would you make up?
You know, this is one of those things that keeps me awake at night.
Yeah.
So what if I forget my lines and it's Shakespeare?
Yeah. And you can't make that shit up.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you say in Shakespearean language, you know?
And you can't say ish.
You can't say ish. It's I don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where, you know what it is? It's in the moment. It's all about in the moment. You can't imagine it.
Sure.
You know, that's what I love about improv. It's like, it's not something that you can pre-think. You have to be in the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pitch us the next hit sci-fi rom-com where your love interest is a toaster. How would you pitch that to us?
Where your love interest is a toaster, as in the thing that toasts bread.
Yeah. It's a sci-fi rom-com.
So it's a world where, imagine a world where the world of the story is that AI is taken over and all gadgets are AI infused. So you speak to everything.
Sure.
You actually speak to your toaster as well. And the toaster would be an AI machine called Tandy.
You?
And I just fall in love.
So good toaster,
with
yes,
the character.
Meg.
Yeah, it's like
In a
better
little
than
case.
Smeg. Yeah, you know, it's got those lines. It's got like that tinge to it. That it's just like it's so warm. You know, pun intended. But it was like the way it toasts bread and the way the bread smells when it comes out. I mean, you know what I mean? That's better than perfume. Thing, you know. So Yeah, that would be the My Toaster Tandy. Be the name of the film.
And then does she cheat on you? What happens? Maybe with Mr. Smeg
With
on
the kettle,
Twitter.
yeah, like she cheats on me with the kettle, you know what I mean? And like, I just, I lose it and I just throw it against the floor and it's still alive and it just talks back to me and it's like,
Why did you do this to me?
yeah, why did you do this to me? Who do you think you are? Well, I'm your toaster, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now who's toast?
You're toast.
Final question.
Yeah.
If life were a movie, what would your closing scene be?
If life were a movie,
Yeah.
I think the closing scene would be
Your closing scene.
my closing scene.
Yes, sir.
It would be walking off into the sunset with the love of my life after having saved the world from alien invasions.
Or from itself.
All from itself, exactly, even worse, right? But it would be that that hero walking into the sunset with,
Yes, sir.
it's classic, right?
She has the walk, do you?
She's got the walk.
Do you have the walk?
I'm trying.
Or are you going to be the guy that taking next to the girl with the walk?
There's nothing wrong with ending it with comedy, right? So I think that would be the comedic.
Absolutely.
End. Yeah.
My dude, we called you in here because we needed to remind you who the hell you are.
Thank you.
And appreciate you for your talent. And it's not just a gift, because you don't do work for vibes. Yeah. We see the work that you put into the work that you do. Yeah. So we just wanted to remind you that we see you, my dude.
I appreciate it.
Keep at it. On days when nobody's applauding, we're applauding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that so much. Sometimes in our industry, we think, "Habamboni," or
Exactly.
you think, it's a high, but
Sure.
you know, it's moments like this that keep me going.
Now we see it, dude.
Yeah.
We see it. You kick ass and you must keep at it. Oh, Bruce Lee. When it comes to kicking ass. You are currently in rehearsal. When do we catch you on stage?
So from the 11th of June,
Yeah.
we open Ethel Fugard's Master Harold and the Boys.
Yes, sir.
It's from the 11th of June until the 29th of June.
Okay.
You can buy tickets. I think it's at Web Tickets or at Box Office at Santon Theatre on the Square.
Okay, so from the 11th of June.
From the 11th of June, yeah.
Who else is on stage with you?
Prasillo Makeka Ncube, it's such an inspiration to be working with him. He's one of the people who inspired me to get into, to become an actor, to study acting and to become an actor. I'm also working with Daniel Anderson, an incredible young man who has done a lot of musical theater. So this play is a challenge for him it's got no songs per se.
Sure.
One of the biggest challenges for me in this play is learning ballroom dancing. So if you want to see me doing ballroom dance, come and check it out.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Brother man, like I said, love your work. Please keep at it. Where do we find you on social media? How do we support you?
Lebohang Motaung _ on Instagram, Lebohang Motaung on Facebook, Lebo Motaung _ on Twitter. And also check out Inside Story Network.
Yes, sir.
On social media.
Okay, so Inside Story Network is where you can do all of the workshops and...
Yes, that's where we do the acting workshops, whether screen or stage acting, and that's where we also have our podcast, Inside Story with Koketso Naledi.
We'll be bringing my daughter to Theatre on the Square. We'll do a dad-daughter date and go to the theatre.
Beautiful. I can't wait to see you.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lebohang, a.k.a. Mfana Koketso, is about to leave the building. And it's in Koketso nyana fela, Koketso wa woko. Thanks for tuning in. Please find him on social media, show him love, and remind him who the hell he is. Coming to you from AMP Studios, downtown Johannesburg. AMP is home to over 100 podcasts on the African continent, and we are part of the Africa Podcast Network. Email waw@africapodcastnetwork.com. Shout out Pezulu Works for all of the cinematography, Lati for some of the production, and YBF for behind the scenes shooting and footage. Kiletso Modisa King is our executive producer, and you are our hero for tuning in once again. Till next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here.